In this video, we're going to talk about what you should do if you failed the MPRE. So first things first, if you find that you were unsuccessful with the last MPRE exam, I want you to take a second and try to relax. Being unsuccessful at the MPRE is not the end of the world. And this is for a few reasons that I won't spend much time on. But namely, you can retake the MPRE as many times as you want. This is unlike the bar exam. In certain jurisdictions, you're limited as to the amount of times that you can take the bar. Here, as it relates to the MPRE, you are not limited in that way. Additionally, no one really has to know if you were unsuccessful at the MPRE. Unlike the bar, where your school normally finds out, or your employer or potential employer might find out, here for the MPRE, no one really has to know. You just re-sign up and you take it again. So once you've decided that failing the MPRE is just not the end of the world, what should you do to move forward? Well, first things first, I would take some time to reflect upon how much time you actually spend studying and preparing for the MPRE. For most people, they have great intentions, but for whatever reason, they have very poor execution. Maybe they're really busy at school or other personal things come up, but they simply don't dedicate enough time to studying. So my guess is, if you spend some time to reflect upon how much time you actually spent studying, you wish you would have spent more time doing it. So in your next approach to the MPRE, I would make sure that you have enough time to allocate towards your MPRE prep. Our second tip, if you find that you failed the MPRE, not only should you make sure that you have enough time to prepare for the MPRE, but you should also make sure that you're spending time memorizing the rules. The MPRE tests a rather small subsection of information, unlike the bar exam, which might test, up to 24 areas of law, depending on the jurisdiction you're in. The MPRE is testing the model rules of professional conduct drafted by the ABA. So as a result, there's just not many things that they're testing on. So we find that these questions are testing the language of the rules. So if you really don't know the rule, this means that you're guessing at the language, and therefore you're guessing on these multiple choice questions. So make sure that not only are you spending enough time studying, but that when you study, you're spending time memorizing these rules. That leads me to my third point if you find that you failed the MPRE. Maybe you need to practice more questions. So again, while you're reflecting upon what you did to prepare last time and trying to decide how to move forward, reflect upon how many questions you actually completed. Did you do them under timed circumstances? Did you not? Were they all untimed? These are all really important questions. You should also be looking at whether or not those questions that you practiced were real MPRE questions, or whether or not they were made up by some bar exam company. So a few things to keep in mind here. Of course, you need to have these rules memorized, but you definitely want to make sure that you've done enough practice, and hopefully, or ideally, you've practiced under timed constraints. This way, you're ensuring that you don't run out of time on the day of the MPRE, because this is a timed exam. So with that being said, you want to make sure that you are allocating enough study and practice time. And not only should you practice questions timed, make sure you do some under untimed conditions as well, because there's a lot of value in being able to do these questions slowly and methodically. Finally, it's okay to do made-up questions from your bar review company, and there's a lot of them out there. That's not a terrible way to practice. But ideally, you would also be practicing with some real released questions as well. So where do you get these questions from? You can purchase them from the National Conference of Bar Examiners. These are the people who draft and administer the MPRE. You can also purchase them from us, for instance. We sell these exams as well. So that's a nice resource to cycle into your practice to make sure that you're practicing with the best thing. So again, as a wrap, if you failed the MPRE, don't stress. Take some time to reflect upon how you can improve moving forward. Usually that means more time dedicated to studying, more time that's dedicated to active review or memorization, and making sure that you're getting in enough time to practice. And ideally, you would be practicing under timed and untimed constraints with real released questions. Best of luck on the next MPRE.